Hello, David Perlman here from the WholeNote Summer Studio with Douglas McNabney, Artistic Director of Toronto Summer Music.
May I just backtrack for 1 second?
Sure.
Because I think the process of building a festival and a program is something that it's a little mysterious for people, and I think very interesting, because there really is a thread that holds it all together. Beethoven and Romanticism in music. And Romanticism is this amazing movement in Western culture. Some people would say that it's, based mostly on a literary tradition that goes back to medieval times, but it really came into its own in earnest in the 18th century, late 18th century. And basically with works like Goethe's The Sorrows of Young Werther, which became like the first blockbuster in literature. And it has these themes that are sort of current. It's about youthful passion and commitment. It's often tragic. It's about a hero who's trying to defy convention, often failing tragically. But it's about overpowering emotion as well. And I think this always comes out in the music. And Beethoven was really sort of the first romantic composer in many ways, because as opposed to classical ideals of form and structure, like Mozart and Haydn, always working within those forms and those structures within society as well, within the larger context, but always pushing, but within form, and always being endlessly inventive, Haydn in particular, but within a particular formal structure. Yes. Yeah. Beethoven was the romantic to sort of begin to explode, do away with forms, originality, individuality. And Beethoven, I think, is the first that sort of represents this credo of art for art's sake. Public be damned. Witness the last string quartets, the last piano quartet, the last piano sonata, both of which are in our program. And really, these works are iconic in the literature, and they set the way for Mendelssohn, Schumann, Schubert, and later on Liszt. Brahms and Liszt that are also in our program. And so looking through this sort of body of literature that was the beginning of Romanticism this is the thread that sort of holds the whole season together. And we're exploring its origins with people like the Vienna Piano Trio, Mozart and Haydn being played, from the center of Vienna being played by the Vienna Piano Trio. Later on, we have the Leipzig Quartet. They're going to do the last quartet of Mendelssohn and the last quartet of Beethoven.
That's the 135. Right?
That's right. And Opus 80 of Mendelssohn. And it's very interesting, the parallels between these two last quartets, the last major work that both composer wrote. Beethoven in particular, the last movement of Opus 135, Muss es sein? Es muss sein, es muss sein. I mean, it really becomes for him sort of a resolution of all the big questions in life. And for Mendelssohn, his last quartet, 2 months before he died, he wrote this as a statement of bereavement for the loss of his sister Fanny, who died of a stroke suddenly, just as he did, just as his parents did. It's a very tragic story, the Mendelssohn family life. And we're sort of putting all of these elements of Romanticism together, and it's really interesting to sort of see that Romanticism has this easy appeal for anybody, because the music immediately speaks out to people, and it's not a language that you have to have any sort of introduction to. You go and you hear romantic music, and it stirs the emotions right away. And this is sort of the overall theme of this year's festival, Romanticism in music.